welcome. I'm trying to get my stuff set up here with Tickety Tock. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another glimpse of growth with Dr. Dale. Let's turn the music. I feel like the music is a little loud here. Let's turn it down just a little bit, you guys. Give me a second here. Because when you're working with these technology, technology be technology, and I'm still in the process of getting it right. I'm still getting it right. So hello everyone. So today's conversation, I have a guest, you guys. So before we get started, how is your Wednesday going? How is your Wednesday going? So I'm always singing, like I'm singing because that's in case you guys haven't noticed, it's a part of my routine. It's a part of my morning routine. I do my little singing, my little dancing. Is that how do you start how do you guys start your morning? How do you start your morning? So today's conversation, we're talking about, what did I say? Today's Wednesday. What is it? What date? August the 20th. 2025. So welcome to today. Whatever you're doing this morning, I hope and pray that it is going well. And if it's not, give it a few more minutes, give it a few more seconds, maybe even a few more hours. And I would venture to say maybe a few more days, because if things are bad, it may take some time, sometimes depending on what the situation is, to give you some time to kind of get over stuff. Okay. So what do we always talk about on here is all things emotional intelligence, all things, the workplace, leaders, employees, employers, bosses, human resources, but definitely emotional intelligence, right? Emotional intelligence is the bread and butter of life. And if you haven't figured that out, keep watching, keep coming back, and you will know, you will agree with me. Because you know why? Emotions are a part of being human. You experience emotion every single second of the day. Single second of the day. Right? And leadership can be a pretty emotional, undertaking. So that's why I say we should all lead with emotional intelligence. So leadership isn't just about, I believe that leadership isn't just about the technical skills and the things that you want to the things that you have to do at the job, the actual duties of the job, right? Because somebody can teach you how to do those things sometimes, and if you have your certification, your degree, and you did all those things, but the courage to build something bigger than yourself, even when you feel like the blueprint that you came to the job with is incomplete, what do? Right? As we navigate a path from in this conversation today, it's from blueprint to boardroom, building technical skills with transformational leadership, right? We realize that true leadership, if you haven't already, I believe it goes way beyond your technical knowledge. I believe that it's all about building foundational roots in your internal emotional intelligence, integrity, and the ability to be able to inspire others to come along for the ride, even when things are uncertain, right? So in today's conversation, we explore how transformational leadership bridges the gap between technical mastery and human connection. Because in a world filled with systems and strategies and policies, and the leaders who rise are those who actually understand their people, starting with themselves. Jack Welch said, before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. Before. Notice the word before. Don't miss it, you guys, because you guys can miss it. Don't miss it. Hi. Oh my goodness. Nice to see you. For those that are have joined, thank you. Good morning. Welcome. Welcome to Wednesday. A glimpse of growth with Dr. Dale. And I have my amazing guest I'm about to bring up here now. So finishing that thought, that quote from Jack Welch. He said, before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. When you become a leader, this is the kicker. Sometimes we miss it. Success is all about growing others. It's no longer about growing yourself. I mean, you never stop growing yourself, right? But the priority, if you're leading people, now it's no longer about you mainly growing yourself. It's about you growing the people that are coming alongside of you, those that are coming behind you. So before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. When you become a leader, success is all about growing those people that you're leading. And with that, I'm going to bring up our guests. And you guys welcome to my very, my very amazing friend, sister, that we met on Women Changing the World. And from there in London, this is where we talk about connection, you guys. And welcome, Adaeze.
Hi, Dale.
I'm gonna say the last name. I am going to say it. I don't care what anybody says.
Let's see.
The last name is Lloeje-Udeogalanya. Did I say that?
Yes, I'm gonna give you an 85.
You see, you guys, we gotta try. Don't be afraid to lean into the vulnerability. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. So the floor is yours. Tell folks who you are, what you're all about, and how amazing you are inside and out. And I thank you for being here on A Glimpse of Growth.
Well, thank you so much, Dale. When you just said we met, I was like, oh my God, we just met this year, just a couple of months ago. But one thing about Women Changing the World is that when I stepped into that room, I felt I had to be in this room with these women because it was
100%.
It was so easy to connect because we're all aligned, we're all working towards making the world a much better place. So I'm Adaeze Lloeje-Udeogalanya, the founder and CEO of African Women in STEM. I'm a TEDx speaker, and I'm also a leadership and strategy coach for mainly women in STEM in their mid-careers. And oh my God, I just love life. I love meeting people, which is why Dil and I are here together. And I just love staying curious. And I like what you said about learning. Because when you stay curious, you're always going to be learning. But the best way to learn even better is to always be curious about the world, about the people that you meet. So that's one thing I do really well. I'm a mom of 2. And I have to mention my husband because it's always like, okay, mom of 2, what about me?
You're like, okay, mom of 2, wife to 1. Okay,
yeah, exactly. Wife to 1. And he's incredible and supports everything that I do. And I'm really happy to be here. And I'm excited about this conversation that we're going to have.
I know this wasn't one of the questions. How long have you been married?
Ooh, okay, hold on. It should roll off my tongue, but I have to calculate it. Okay, 13 years. 13 years.
13 years.
Yeah.
I love it.
Lucky number 13, because I don't believe all that stuff, Lucky number 13.
No, we're not. I love it. Okay, cool. I love it. Okay, awesome. So, I don't know if you guys heard or, she kind of slipped that by so fast. I want you guys, TEDx, you guys, our girl has been on TEDx, and she had a question when she did her TEDx talk. And I want to kind of start the conversation with that this morning. and she asked in her TEDx. You guys are gonna have to go listen. What is it called? What was it? The title of the TEDx?
It's about how embracing your cultural identity is key to achieving success in your career and life, I
So
will add.
do you ask, the question you asked was, do you hide yourself behind a mask? And kind of give our audience, what do you mean by that? Because I can almost guarantee almost everyone in one way, shape, or form, when they're in the workplace or in a group or in some setting, they have decided to hide away a part of themselves.
Mhm.
Why?
Yeah. So, TEDx and TED is about ideas worth spreading. And I'm going to preface by saying I had an incredible experience leading up to my talk and even after that.
Really? That is good to
Yes.
hear.
Yes, because it was, I felt like I had something to say. And it was a journey for me to come up with the idea, because you have to come up with just one idea what's spreading. And I just realized eventually that everything I wanted to say, even like my experience being, Black, being African, being an immigrant, being a woman, being a mom, all of that all boiled down to this whole thing of how was I able to fully express myself in the workplace.
Mm,
And in that journey, I, at some point, because I used to be a very expressive kid, even though I'm an engineer,
yeah.
I was very artistic. I sang, I danced, I was a comedian for a while. um, but in the workplace, I'm a writer too, and all those things. But if I found that most of these gifts that I had were not really wanted, accepted, or whatever, because to some extent they felt like you can't be serious, for example, as a technical person if you're artistic. Okay, so now you have to hide that part. You can't possibly be good at this because I have this impression about people from Africa that probably are not going to be good at this. Then I had to hide that. Oh, you're a
Mm,
woman, so definitely. But the thing is that I didn't realize because I felt I was protecting myself.
mm,
So I had a long career, 20 years. So, I mean, somewhere in there, slowly but surely, I was hiding because it was easier to just operate when I didn't have everybody judging every single thing that I did or was, because it was different. And then the whole idea that different is something we don't have to try to understand, we just have to reject it. So that
yes.
question was, do you hide your true self behind a mask because you feel that the real you is not welcome in the workplace? To your
Wow.
point, everybody can relate to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when I was practicing my TED talk with one of my friends, she was also like, there are some things that you can't hide. And I agree with that. Because I'm a Black woman, I can't hide that. I'm a
No.
woman, I can't hide that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm African, I've been in America 20 plus years, but I did not change my accent to completely sound American. So I can't hide
Yeah.
that either.
Yeah.
So I also asked the question, what if you can't hide? What do you do? So even if you
Mm,
can or cannot hide, the whole idea of the TEDx stuff was to help you realize, because for me, the moment I said, this is it, enough is enough, because I realized for me and a lot of the people I knew, we were completely different people at work and outside of work. Outside of work, we're trailblazers doing all these things. At work, we excel because I'm African and Nigerian. We know how to excel. We'll do our job exceptionally well. But we were not maximizing our full potential. Whatever people saw that we're doing that was excellent was probably only 10% of what we could possibly do. And that
mm,
destroyed me. And that destroys a lot of people. So I wanted to be able to be that at work and outside of work. And it was a process. And the moment I said enough is enough, if I can't change something, I just have to find where I'm supported. Everything literally changed for me. That's part of the reason why I'm here with you.
100. Oh my goodness. You just, that my experience, 100%. The same thing. I remember one time in the workplace, I was asked to do a presentation, and then I saw how everybody else was doing their presentation, and how I wanted to do the presentation. I got my, my manager at the time was like coaching me and guiding me how to do it. And you saw how this person do it, and you saw how that person do it, and I want you to do it exactly like how they do it, because they were the VP, right? And the VP did it the right way. And me at that time, okay, I'm trying to like recollect and make all these notes to be somebody else in this presentation that I had to give, or that they were asking me to give. And when I finished that presentation, it was, and it was nowhere near how I didn't feel like myself. And even though I did it the way the VP, as close to the VP as the person wanted, my manager wanted me to do it, everybody else was like, yes, you did it, but I didn't feel good with myself because I wasn't doing it with me. I was doing it kind of copying somebody else, when in reality I was kind of dimming who I was to kind of pretend to be somebody else, because my manager, said that this was the ideal way to do it. You know what I mean?
I understand that.
And that I remember that, and looking back at that now, that Dale that didn't have a felt like she didn't have a voice, had a voice, but didn't feel like I had a voice strong enough to stand and speak up, right? So when that happened, going forward afterwards, I eventually didn't stay at that job very long. And of course, right? But eventually, after a while, I figured out that that's that's not how I want to show up, anymore. I remember there was this interview that I did, and this lady, she said, in order to do this job, you have to have executive presence. Have you heard that word before?
I heard that word. I did not like that word for so many years for the exact same reasons that
Me
you just
too.
said. Because it was for me, I had to become somebody else, which I felt was very sterile, very stiff, not expressive. And I was like, if this is executive presence, I don't want it. I will stay right here and be comfortable.
You're like, you can keep that.
You can.
You can keep that. And I think that, a lot of, we put all these pressures on ourselves, right? Because that's where we're trying to emulate someone else, right? We're trying to emulate someone that's not us, right? So looking at what you said about technical skills, you said that you were doing what you needed to do, but at the same time, everybody, you couldn't do it to the point where you needed to do it, because everybody was looking at you and expecting something different, especially if they didn't understand what they were looking at. Right?
Yep.
So why do you think, the myth that competence equals leadership readiness is what do you think about that you can have these technical skills, and just because you have the technical skills, does that mean that you have the leadership skills to be a great leader?
I think I'll probably first of all define what competence is and then what leadership is not. So, competence is pretty much your ability to do something really well, to succeed with doing a task. The skills that you apply to getting a job done. That's competence. Now, leadership, you may be required to be competent in that sense, but that doesn't mean that you're a leader. Because when you're being competent, you're task focused, right? When
Yeah.
you're being a leader, like you said earlier, you have to be people focused.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it
Mm-hmm.
was easy to have that, to figure that out because I've always been a leader from the time I can remember, even back in, they call it nursery school, that's like pre-K here, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
And I always tell people like leadership has absolutely nothing to do with competence or technical skills or title or any of those things. And the reason why most technical people, because that's also what I do, like when I coach women in my community or mentor women in my community,
Yeah.
the biggest problem that we have as technical experts, engineers, whatever it is that we're doing, scientists and so on, is the transitioning from technical to leadership
Mm.
for two reasons. One, we have a generation before us where you kind of walk your way up to the top.
Yeah.
So you feel I keep working and working and working and working and work my way to the top. Um, and then two, especially for me moving to this country and not understanding the culture here
Yeah.
around how do you even get there. So I walked my way to a certain point. Leadership skills were not exactly my problem, but then the thing that I was missing
Yeah.
was building the kind of relationships
Mm.
in a certain way, because up to a certain point, somebody has to move you from point A to point B, whether you like it or not. So competence is great, but when it comes to building leadership skills, you have to think broadly.
Yeah.
Your skills is just one aspect, but there are also so many other things I have to consider.
So, what do you say to those leaders out there that, because you have leaders that move the frontline employee, right? From, they're good at doing that one particular thing, their technical skills, right? And now I'm going to move them to be leaders of 5 people.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have the people skills. What do you think, what do you say to those leaders that think you can do your job? That means you can do this new job as a new boss, as a
Mm-hmm.
boss for the first time, and you're going to lead these 5 people that are under you, and that's whatever the skills you have is what you need, and that's it. You don't need to have any people skills.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, I've seen that my entire career. I mean, some industries do have, like, not some industries, some companies have structured training.
Yeah.
The industry I worked in, most of the companies do not want to spend money training. So to your point, what normally happens is that they promote these people to these positions and they're automatically supposed to figure that out. So what that
Oh,
means is they don't give them the training and the support they need to be good leaders.
yeah. Yeah.
And the people step into these positions, unless it's innate in you or you have a mentor or coach, what's going to happen is that you're just going to just be or try to be more technically competent. And what we see is the kind of leadership style where it's either one of two things. There could be others, but these are the two that are very glaring. One is you micromanage
Mm.
because,
They go the
you
word.
don't trust anybody to do anything the way you do it, right? The other
Yeah.
thing is you do everything, so everybody on your team just kind of lets you do everything.
Yeah.
So they're
Yeah.
so dependent on you that if you're not there, they can think, they can talk. And then when you come out and ask them, they're like, oh, so I went to the printer and it wasn't working and then I did do it. And then you're upset because you're like, can't you think for yourself? But it's just because of how you've been leading, which is not really
Yeah.
leading. You've been
Yeah.
doing everything.
Say it again.
You've been doing everything.
You've been doing, not leading.
Not leading. So I would say, I mean, I've thought about this a lot, but because sometimes, you see something in someone, then they may not see in themselves, or for whatever reason, you promote them to that position. I think at the very basic, you just give them the support they need or point them to a redirection where they can take a training or whatever it is for them to learn the soft skills. I don't like calling it that.
They're not soft skills.
They're not soft skills, but I think people are calling them power skills and different things now. But the reality is that those are the things that actually make you a better leader. There's nothing soft about it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
100%. So the balance between, so from blueprint to boardroom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you recall the exact moment when you realized that technical mastery wasn't enough to be a leader?
I kind of mentioned, how what I had in mind. I had great people skills. I got the leadership part down and all of that. But also, especially earlier in my career, I was very, very happy being the person that solves the most complex problems. Like if
The
anybody
person
can
that
do anything,
knows, the person that what?
solves the most
Solve.
complex
Yeah.
problems.
Problems. Yeah.
If anything couldn't be figured out, Adaeze will figure it out.
Adaeze
And I was
Lloeje.
very proud of that.
Me too.
You
I
know, they had this program they were trying to build, the system they were trying to develop and build for more than 7 years before I joined the company. Because I'm always very like, I get bored easily and I'm always very curious and I want to do things. That's why, my experience is very different. I'm not a typical engineer. I have a really broad range of experiences,
yeah, 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 yeah.
software, all that stuff with different people. Um, so when I went to them, they were like, I'm sure they were like, just to get her out of my office because she's always here, let's give her this. And she was like, they've tried to do this for the last 7 years. It hasn't worked. I was like, whatever, I'll figure it out. I figured it out. We built a system and it added like over 50% revenue to the company.
Yeah.
Things like that. Oh, they have this client, they have a problem with the client. We don't know. Can you just go figure it out? What am I going to do there? We don't know. Figure it out when you get there. And I'll go there and I'll figure it out. So that was like, you know. But when they wanted, one of the examples where I was on this team, this guy was a lead, the project lead.
Yeah.
He left the team. I assumed with everything I've been doing, I'll be the next person. Plus, I was more senior, all that kind of stuff. But they picked someone else. And I was like, okay. Then the guy left the company like 6 months later. And I was like, okay, the first one was a fluke. It's definitely going to be me this time. No, they picked another person. And mind you, the second person they picked was like, I had more experience than they did. The third person, I mean, it wasn't even close. He cost the company so much money because he had no idea what he was doing.
Oh,
so
God.
let me give you an example. When we do drawings, we have like, IFCs like issues for construction. Worst case scenario, you don't want to have more than a Rev 1 after that, really. This young man, at a point, he had Rev 6, Rev 7, because he had no clue what he was doing. But he was the lead. And I kept wondering, I was like, what's going on? This doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, hindsight is 2020, but I understood that this wasn't about anything.
No, it wasn't.
It was two things. One, you were so good at what you did, we wanted to stay there and keep doing it. Number one. Number two, all these were men. The industry I worked in was very, very male dominated. So at the end of the day, people want to think that they don't make decisions with emotions, but they do.
They do.
So they're looking for somebody like them. And I guess I hadn't done enough to tell them that I was also like them, not physically,
right?
But in terms of what they imagined,
yeah,
the person in the lead position could be.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of for me, and I realized that I had to have done extra work to find a point where we were familiar. I do that very well in my personal life. I always find what connects me with someone and I start there and build that relationship. But for some reason, that didn't translate into work.
Mm.
So for a long time, I was like, I don't know what's wrong with these people, blah, blah, blah. But, now that with maturity and experience, I know there's so many factors to this. Right. And there was a lot I could have done.
Right.
To make it easier. Eventually, I did, get into what I wanted. But that was it was a learning process. I had to figure that out for myself.
Wow. Wow. And when you did figure it out, were you like, oh, so, okay. Oh.
It blew my mind, though.
So then what do you do going forward when situations like that come up?
Well, first of all, you don't have to wait for situations like that to come up. Because when I started African Women in STEM, it was supposed to be a mentoring initiative. So I was reaching out to people I knew and, dear connections to interview them because I had this idea about mentorship, which is I don't like the whole, dichotomy of I'm over here, you're down here, I'm helping you out. So I just wanted to make sure we're aligned on the same page. What I found out from 40 conversations is that we all went through the same experience. And I'm like, why in the world? And one thing we all realize that there are things, especially when it comes to transitioning into leadership, there are things that we should have started doing 5-10 years before, like even from the day we got our jobs.
Mm.
We were so focused on work, working hard, doing it right, being the best, all of that stuff. For most of us, I did a little bit of it, but not, I now realize not enough. We did not have time to network, build relationships, just and there are a lot of reasons for that. One, you're the outsider coming in.
Yep.
Um, the way, for example, the men socialize may not work for you. Like you're not going to go hang out with them and drink beer. If you don't play golf, you're probably not going to want to go out with them and play golf.
Right. Right.
However, I still believe that, well, I know now that there are other ways that you can socialize and build those relationships
Connections.
that
Right.
work for you and will also work for them. But
Right.
these are things we didn't know. So what I tell a lot of young people that come in, because I have these conversations with them, and I understand that right now they just want to get a job and start working.
Yeah. Yeah.
This whole thing does not make sense.
Right.
But the truth is that as you're building your career and technical expertise, you should also be building the 50% that will actually help your career be sustainable, help you step into leadership, help you succeed, because you need people more than you need your skills at every stage in your career, but most especially from mid-career onwards. So not what you're supposed to do now, but really the things that I should have done from day one.
Yes.
Yeah.
You said you need people more than you need your skills.
So true.
Because let me because I have to think about this for a little bit. You need people more than you need your skills. Yeah. Yeah, because if you have the people can teach you what you don't know. And even those skills they can teach, because if you just have your skills can plateau, right? It can like reach a ceiling to the point where you're not, that's it. That's all you have. And you're not growing, right? At that point in time.
And I'm going to say this because African American STEM, one of the things to deal with is, career stagnation, to your point. I'm sure you've heard it. There are a lot of highly skilled women.
Yeah.
That are not getting what they deserve. And it's absolutely nothing to do with how great they are, how incredible they are, how skilled they are, the qualifications they have. If you really look into it, is they don't have the people. They don't have advocates.
When you say they're not getting what they deserve, you mean apart from pay, you're talking about the treatment, the environment, the community, the support.
Everything. Pay, position, relationships, all of that. Because I think I understood this late, but your career you deserve a wholesome career, which includes everything. You should be paid well. You should rise through the ranks. You should have the right kind of support around you and people. You should have the right kind of experience. Because if you think about it, we spend a lot of time at work, a lot of time, for it not to be worth your while.
100%. 100%. 100%.
Well, you can't get that without people, really. Just think about it. So right now, I can tell you, because I work with a lot of these women, which is why I started Career Accelerator to help people learn how to build relationships. But at 10, 15-year mark or 15 thereabouts, a lot of them are just stuck. They've not been promoted because the next level promotion, and definitely is a pyramid, right?
Yeah.
The next level promotion has to happen because someone decides that you should get in there. And there are two ways they can decide. They can just decide on their own, which is a 1% chance of that.
Yeah.
Or you can learn how to position yourself so that they will think that they made the decision, but they made the decision because you made it easy for them.
Ooh, but a lot of people are not doing that, right? They're not, they don't know how to strategically.
They're just working harder.
They're just working harder. And now in today's world, harder is not going to get you where you need to go, right? Thank you, Toyosi. Hopefully I'm saying it right. She said these are valid point. Networking is key. Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Right?
It's amazing.
Our connection is from networking because we decided to venture out of our comfortable zone, right? Because it wasn't easy to join an organization that you don't know how it's gonna go. You just gave it a try, right?
Yeah.
And we ended up in London, and winning our awards, and then making those connections, and just being in a room, like you said earlier, right? Being in a room filled of women that took chances on themselves. They bet on themselves. They showed up for themselves, because they did it for years in corporations, in their homes, in their families. But when it comes to, okay, that level of showing up to that job from 8 to 5, and then logging off, and then logging back on for another 5 or 6 hours, you showed up 120% for that business. But now, are you going to do the same thing for yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And so, at Adaeze's point, she said that your relationships you build are more important than your technical skills, because those relationships, they give you opportunities and open doors for countless challenges and all
Mm-hmm.
the things. And I wanted to point out Victoria's comment here. She said the Peter principle. Have you heard about this? Do you know what this is?
No, no, I don't. Please
So
educate
I'll
me.
look it up really quick. And I heard about it. I had forgot the definition of it. And the Peter Principle states that an employee continues to receive promotion to work in higher ranks up to that point where he reaches a level of incompetence.
Mm. Ooh.
That tells you a lot. I
That's
mean,
scary.
it tells you. I mean, and I've been in spaces and in companies where they just continue to promote this person. And I was only there at some of those companies for 3 years, and one particular person has been promoted
Mm-hmm.
so many times, and at the point where that person was no longer like, what else are you adding to the company? Like, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What kind of value are you continuing to bring, right?
Mm-hmm.
um I wanted to mention this thing. I wanted to get your take on this. What do you think about folks, and I don't want to venture too far, but what do you think about folks that are at organizations for 10, for 15 years, and now they have reached the top? Now they're a part of the C-suite. Now they're that CHRO, that they're at the executive level, and they've been there at the company for 10, 15 years. What do you think they're still adding value? Because when I left my CHRO position, um, the CEO told me that after 3 years, you're no longer adding value, or you're no longer fresh, and bringing like changes and this and that. And I don't think that's across the board for everything or everyone, but that's what was said. What do you think about that?
Well, I want to shout out to Yossi. She's in my community first, and
Oh
I'm
yeah.
glad she's here. And she lives in Scotland, Ireland. I don't know, somewhere in Europe. Um, so I agree with that. It's a yes and no thing.
Okay.
We talk about leadership, and I'm glad you mentioned this in the beginning. For those that missed it, when you are a leader, what makes you a good leader is that you're able to make other people better, develop other people, develop other talent. So I agree that you reach the C-suite and maybe there's no other place to go. If you feel like I've arrived, let me now do the job, you will get stagnant pretty quickly.
Mm.
But if you sit down here and say, okay, yes, CHRO is it, there's no other place, COO is it, there's nowhere else to go. But I can still innovate in this position
Mm-hmm.
and create opportunities to where I'm always like moving up in a sense, not necessarily your title.
Yeah.
Because what it means is that if you're moving up, that means some of the things that you're doing, you're bringing other people up to do it in terms
Mm-hmm.
of task. And then you there, because at the end of the day, think about their companies have been around for 100 years. Let's just assume that people live to be 200 and they had the same CEO
Yeah.
for the entire 100 years.
Yeah.
Still the same title, but guess what? The reason why that company is 100 years old is that that CEO continues to innovate and grow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the title doesn't change. It's been 100 years, past three.
Yeah.
But the CEO he was in year 1 or year 50 is not the CEO he or she is in year 100.
100%.
So yes, you can stagnate if you know,
If you're not intentional with
intent.
innovating and growing. You
Yes.
said it. You said you have to create. You said create. That means you have to put in some effort,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you don't put in the effort, then you will be stagnant. You will not grow, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because you can reach the top with the title, but if you're not continuing to bring others up with you and create the spaces and the places for them to continue to grow, then
Mm-hmm.
yeah, stagnation is your future.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah, stagnation is your future. How do you think how do you balance data driven decisions with leading per se emotionally intelligent teams? Because you said that people think that they're not leading with emotions, but they are.
Mm-hmm.
Tap
Mm-hmm.
into that for me.
I'm an engineer, so when you say data driven, it's one thing we're really good at, technical,
Yeah.
technical. Give me the results, show me the data, show me the result, blah, blah. Um, I'm going to say that this is one of the reasons why I had issues with a lot of the people, a lot of the companies that I worked in, because I have always been people first, like I said, from when I was 5 or 4, which is as far as I can remember.
Yeah.
And some people don't like that. They're like, why? I mean, we're trying to get results, data. But I'm like,
Yeah.
people get your results better if they buy into whatever it is that you're doing.
Mic drop.
So we look at numbers, you're like, okay, number on the sheet, 300 employees and da 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 da. And we forget that people are people. That's why right before COVID, I saw this research that 75% of Americans are unhappy at their jobs.
Yep, I saw that same research.
I'm
Yep.
sure these companies are doing well, but I also know that they could have done a whole lot better if they found a way to balance data with empathy.
Mm.
And I'm going to give you an example with the way I've always worked. So this was like right after the financial crisis. I was on the consulting side, so I went to work for this company. They had, gone through like this whole, layoff, and we were now going to be the engineering company. So when I went over there, first of all, they had no idea what they were doing because it just laid people off. There was no closure.
Of
So I
course.
had to figure out, there was like, we don't know why you're here. We just need you to figure it out. Okay, so I figured it out and I went from engineering to operations to all kinds of things. I was supposed to be there for 3 months. I ended up being there for 18 months. But the interesting thing is that because they didn't even want to let me go because they just kept adding to what I did because,
Yeah.
But I was having this conversation with my boss at the time, my manager at the time, a few months down, because other engineers, I was the only one that was at the client side, but other people were actually working with the clients in different capacities.
Yeah.
And he was like, he doesn't know what's wrong with these people because our people can't get any information. They're mad because, all their friends are gone and now you're here. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I never had that problem.
Yeah.
Like if I call up an operations guy and say that I'm coming, they'll be like, oh, yeah. And when I get there, they'll lay everything out for me. They'll take me out to lunch. They'll give me coffee. They do all these things. I took it for granted that that's how it was. But I realized it was because I put people first.
Mm.
So now they're doing things I didn't even ask them to do because they feel really good around this person and the person sees them. And the whole idea of you're here to replace my friends that were fired never came up because they did not feel that around me.
Yeah.
It was something I did without thinking about it, but that's when I understood the importance of
Relationship
putting people first.
first.
I got everything I wanted and more.
Yeah. I love it. 100%. Tayosi, thank you so much for your comments. She says she's in Ireland.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you so much. She's here on LinkedIn, and these are important conversations, ladies. She says, I'm glad we're now discussing them. The people you know are your currency, not just your money or your skills. 100%. And that is the future, right? And I'm gonna, as we get deeper into AI, that must be a subject that, as we get deeper, I believe that as we get closer to AI, relationships and people are going to be the commodity, right? Just like time and current time, they're going to be the new currency, right? Those relationships that you have built with people. And right now, you said the data is one thing, but if you don't have a story to attach to that data means nothing. Like, what is the data saying? The data is the people is the data. They're all, I believe they're all one. They're feeding off of each other. And I don't think you should have one over the other. I think you need all of them, right? You need both of them. Yeah.
I do.
So now the inner game. The inner work that you have done to become a transformational leader in a world today, and then creating spaces like spaces for that Toyosi is a part of in your community. What is one or two or three things that you had to do to get better at being, you said you were always a leader since you were younger, since you was a little girl. What are some things couple of things that you had to like really hone into and get clear on to kind of make empathy that leading part of you, to kind of see people before people even see themselves sometimes?
You mentioned how you had a presentation and your manager taught you to do that, like the VPs did.
To copy
that. Okay. So I've always been into public speaking. By that I mean, like I told you, I was always acting, doing drama playing, doing comedy. And I was a speaker, like, even in elementary school, all of that stuff. But when I got into my career, I actually stopped for the same reason that you mentioned, which was like, if I had to speak, I had to speak like this person.
Yeah.
But I couldn't speak like that person because it felt so unnatural.
Yeah.
And then I was like, so, and if I don't speak like that person, then I'm not doing it well enough. Yeah. But there's a way I do things. Like I can't get myself to go against my grain. It's a good thing and it's a bad thing, because what it did is that I actually just never did it.
Yeah.
So wow. I avoided speaking.
Because of that.
So one thing I'll say is, which is why, I give my TEDx talk, go listen to it. It's incredibly exceptional.
Yes.
Be yourself. I mean, it sounds cliche, but honestly, it is not.
Yeah.
You know what you're good at. You know why you're good. You can always get better. That's not what we're talking about here. But you can't just throw it away completely and try to wear someone else's clothes. It doesn't work. You'll be so uncomfortable. You'll be scratchy, you'll be itchy, and you can never, ever, ever be fully yourself.
You said it'll be scratchy, it'll be itchy. I love it.
I'm serious. But that's true. That's one thing. Another thing that really worked well for me is, I see this a lot with a lot of women, especially, I'm African. I'm sure it cuts across to Black women, but we're
sure African minority women.
Yeah, minority women. Actually, the truth is, I've seen Asian women. It's women, a cultural thing. It's a cultural thing. Yeah. Women in general,
Women in general, yeah.
We're strong. We have to be strong. To your point, we look out for everybody else, our kids, work, all of that. We don't center ourselves. So one other thing that comes out of that is, because you're supposed to be strong and figure it out, I know a lot of women that will not ask for help. And then there's this pride that we as Nigerians have, I'm going to say that, which is, I can figure it out, which is good. Everything is figureoutable works for you. But one thing it would also prevent you from doing is to actually reach your full potential and expand, because you will not get the mentor or the coach that you need. Because like it or not, the whole idea about being your true self has to do with self-awareness.
Yeah.
But you need an outside counsel. You need somebody that's objective. You need somebody that can see you. Because someone says something about, when you look in the mirror, you still don't see yourself. You see a reflection of yourself. So somebody has to
point out those blind spots, things that you don't see about yourself.
Exactly.
Right.
When it dawned on me was, because my husband is a great basketball fan.
Yeah.
Kobe, God rest his soul, it was his like, but I'm
Yeah.
like, these are incredible players, but they have all kinds of coaches,
Yeah.
from
They
nutrition
do.
coach to, everything else.
Right.
Those coaches are not better than them at whatever it is. But
Mm-hmm.
without those coaches, they would not be the best.
Mm.
And the first time I had a coach, I hid it from my friends for a very long time because I knew the first thing they were going to say was why. You can figure this out. I don't need someone to tell you, that kind of stuff. But no, I don't care. But it's interesting that we think that way, that asking for help or getting somebody to make you better means that you're not good enough, strong enough, you can figure it. No, it's none of that. It's just that you need to up level your skills. And you
100%.
have to know when you need someone else to help you do that even better.
Mm.
So be self-aware and find help.
Find help. You heard that, you guys? Get help. You
Get
can't
help.
figure this stuff out by yourself. Life is crazy. There's a lot going on all the time, right?
Mhm.
And we feel like we have to handle and take care of everything, right? And if we're not doing it, we look weak, or we don't, what's wrong with you? Are you dumb or something?
Mm.
No, the actual opposite is true. Asking for help is not only is the smart play, is a smart play, right? And even, think as a leader in the workplace, right? You as a leader in the workplace, you're trying to figure out, if you decide to do everything, you end up tired real quick. Right? If you don't start delegating some of that stuff, right? You're like, oh, I'll do it. My family has this thing where we say, if you want something done, do it, really done right, you do it yourself. But in reality, teach me how to do it.
Mhm.
Teach me how to do it. And then once I figure out how to do it, then I may adjust how it's done, as long as I get
Mhm.
the results that we're looking for, right? How it's done, it doesn't matter. The point is that you get what you need out of it, right?
Mhm.
When I was first learning how to cook, my mom, she didn't, earlier on, she didn't have a lot of patience with me. And I noticed, and I didn't, so for that, I didn't learn to cook until like close to almost when I was getting married, or when I was already married,
Mm.
because I didn't like how, she would run out of patience, and when I would ask more questions and all this stuff, and it was funny. But now looking back at it, I'm glad that, now I know everything. Like, I see, and she get, and we have a really good relationship now in that way. But it took me some time, because I had to do some growing up with,
Mhm.
maybe you just need to actually take that constructive feedback that she just gave, and actually not think that she is trying to make you look bad, or trying to
Mhm.
put you down, but in reality, she's trying to give you some drop some wisdom on you, right? And
Mhm.
it's up to you to actually listen. It's up to you to actually listen. So as we wind down here, you're coming back, right? Ease
Hmm.
back. We need a part two
Definitely.
and a part three of this conversation, because this is really good. And I think a lot of people are going through this kind of stuff right now, where that they don't want to be in an organization that's all data focus, or technical focus, or they feel like they're not feel seen, valued, and respected, I want to talk about a question here. Failure. Was there a failure you think that you face early in your leadership that allowed you to kind of define your growth and continue to grow?
Mhm. It's interesting that you said that. I remember the first time I actually got into, like, way up there in the leadership ladder. I had this thing where I was, listening to all this, 7 habits of highly effective people, thinking all that kind of stuff, and I was like,
Think
yeah,
and grow
I
rich.
got it. They were awesome. They were incredibly amazing. I learned so much.
Yes.
However, I think one of the things that just comes to mind now that I remember is learning how to communicate
Mm.
with the people that I was leading as a leader. Because now, mind you, there's certain things that you have to maybe do differently. So there was this instance where um, I think I had someone that I was working with. I understand she wanted to be proactive
Yeah.
and show that she could and all this kind of stuff, but we're already having problems with this client. So there are things that she probably didn't see that I was dealing with. So we're having problems
Yeah.
with this client. They were being very difficult.
Yeah.
And on our own side, we didn't want to give them any more excuses to add to all the list of things. Usually it's around money. So it's when someone doesn't want to pay you, they find all kinds of excuses, right?
Right, right, right,
And
right.
in consulting, you need money, okay? So that was where we were. And she wanted to show that she was proactive and creative. And I think she finished her drawing. Usually I'm supposed to review. She sent it to the client.
She sent it to the client without showing it to you?
Without showing it to me. And then, of
Okay.
course, I got all this stuff. So I went to talk to her.
Yeah.
And I was just going to talk to her. But, she just wasn't getting it. And I guess at some point, our voices are kind of raised a little bit.
Yeah.
Then I caught myself and I realized, oops, I should have started this conversation in a conference room.
Because where did you start it? Where was it?
I think it was in the hallway. But it was it was like towards the end of work. It was it was like around 4. It was like towards the end of work. There were not a lot of people. There were still some people. And I was just thinking, I'll just tell her, oh, you should have sent that. You should have had me review it and it would have been okay. I did not expect. That's the thing about, growing in leadership, because I should have played all the scenarios out in my mind.
Yeah.
I only played one scenario out in my mind. I didn't play all the other different ones. So the reaction that she gave, I was taken back by it because I did not expect it. And I had to scramble to figure out how to, respond to that. And I didn't do very well. I mean, I apologize, but I was like, ooh. Immediately, like I was driving home and I was thinking I should have had that conversation in the conference room.
One, and do you think if you had waited till the next day to kind of have that conversation with her?
Probably that's another thing too. Like, okay, the waiting to the next day one, I think I probably did because normally I don't like confrontation. So I let things sit and stew.
You're one of those.
Yeah, and I play it out in my mind.
Yeah,
but I thought I played it out well enough, and I figured out how it was gonna go. Because I usually have those conversations with myself, like, okay, this is it.
Me too.
Before I have the conversation, so I don't think I could have waited. I think I didn't have it right away. But one thing that was clear to me was that I did not play out all the because I did not play out all the scenario at all. I did a very good job. And knowing what I know now, because I mean, I don't care whether you're a CEO, you can't figure everything out. But I feel like it's one of those things that if we had the conversation in private and things we would have just figured it out. But I think one of the reasons I feel that it just went out of control was rightfully she was trying to defend herself and not look like she did something wrong when other people could overhear it.
Yeah, so she didn't want to look like dumb or stupid for doing that. So she went on the defensive, right?
Yeah, exactly. She went on defensive, and I was like, okay, I did not anticipate that. And then she was kind of like going, and I was now trying to calm her down, and it was just like I was like, oh, okay. I think that would have eliminated probably the way she reacted, because if it was just her and I, it would have been different. So that was a learning for me.
That was a learning. I love
Which I probably would have figured out if I had a coach earlier.
You heard that, you guys? You need a coach. You need a coach. Stop playing with life. Life ain't playing with us. Life is not playing. It's coming in hard, and it's coming in strong, and it can come in beautifully, right? It can come in for a soft landing, but we need to have people in our ear to kind of empower and show us those blind spots that we don't see. You have blind spots. Can we stop trying to act like we got it all together, like we're all buttoned up and everything is perfect? Stop. That's not what the great book wants from us. That's not what the Father above wants from us. You are perfectly imperfect. Accept it. Own it. Own it. You are perfectly imperfect. So as we wind down, it's been an hour. Can you believe it's been an hour? This is really good. Yes. So we're gonna have this conversation again. Easy to say. So I do want to Adaeze, kind of let everybody know how they can reach you, how they can connect with you. And I think you said you had a workshop coming up or something.
Yes, yes, yes. So, oh man, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm always on LinkedIn.
Okay,
So you
okay.
can find me on LinkedIn, Adaeze Lloeje-Udeogalanya. And, again, I invite you to visit our website, africanwomeninstem.com, to learn more about our events and everything else we're doing. So next week, I have an AMA. It's going to be a live AMA, Ask Me Anything. And I think the title is, how to get, opportunities or jobs regardless of what's happening in the world. And I'm also open to whatever questions you might have around your career as well. So I'm excited about that. So it's next week, Wednesday at noon, live
Next week,
on
Wednesday.
Zoom.
And
So, but
okay,
all the information is on our website in africanwomenistem.com/events. So
I'm gonna write your website here. You said African
womeninstem.com.
womeninstem.com. Okay, don't say I didn't give it to you guys. Please, stem.com. Okay, I think I got it here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got it right. Is right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
it's
exactly.
right. Okay,
Perfect.
great. So you guys, she's on LinkedIn. Find her on LinkedIn. This is her website. She has workshops, free workshops, ask all things, and especially in this economy right now
Mm-hmm.
with the world of work and
Mm-hmm.
workplace, it's a lot going on, and you need a support. You need support, you guys. You need a community. You need a coach. You need a mentor. So tap into your resources. So I always ask, like, give us your quote as we get ready to wind down here and come out of this beautiful, wonderful conversation where I learned quite a lot myself.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is your favorite quote you want to leave the good people um, before we get out of here today?
Mm-hmm. I think if people in my community, if you've gotten an email from me, you know this. And I always say, live fully, stay curious.
Live
I'm
fully.
talking to everybody more so I'm talking to myself because I realized, to your point, Dale, about being there for other people, being everything to everyone. I postponed my life a lot. One day I will do this. One day I will do that. And again, back to coaching. It was my coach that helped me see that, listen, I know you want to, for example, travel around the world, but maybe you can travel down the street, you know, travel to the next town. What that means is that you can make time to have fun. You don't have to wait for that perfect thing. So living fully is at any given point in time in your life, even if you're not, doing the thing in your bucket list, but there are options that will give you that same feeling, satisfaction, and all of that. And then staying curious is just being open because in your personal and your professional life, you are never gonna go wrong if you're open and curious
Mm-hmm.
because you'll learn so much, you'll
Mm-hmm.
grow so much, but
Mm-hmm.
most importantly, you have fun. Okay.
Oh, 100%. I'm all down for the fun part, you guys. What an amazing, wonderful conversation from Blueprint to Boardroom, building technical skills with transformational leadership. And we're gonna bring Adaeze back in here, and we're gonna continue this conversation. So I'll see you guys next week. And you already know, tap into www.africanwomeninstem.com for those on TikTok. She has a community. She supports women. She has a few workshops coming up. If you have questions about your job and should you leave and what should you do, you have a resource, you guys. You have a resource. So thank you guys. I'll see you guys next week. Where am I next week? I think I'm going to be I'm in Orlando. I'm traveling
Mm.
to Orlando for a conference up there, HR Florida. So it's going to be fun. So I don't think I'll try to pop in here, you guys, for a few minutes and tell you guys how it's going up there. But that's it. Besides that, I'll see you guys. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank
Adaeze,
you.
I loved this conversation.
Yeah,
I
I
can
had
talk
an
about
incredible
leadership
time.
and people and just all the things that we have learned that we wish we could have learned, like when we had started out early on. The people were always the focus. But now, how do we show those people that they are the focus? That they are the focus. So that's, I love talking about this. So thank you so much again for being and sharing with our wonderful community. And we will see you guys next week.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here and supporting this channel. If you enjoyed this episode and this content, it would mean a lot to me if you would take a few seconds to ensure you are subscribed to A Glimpse of Growth with Dr. Dale. Click the notification bell to receive notification. Share it with someone you think may need it. And let's continue to become more intelligent with our emotions. Thank you. See you later.